made this, I forgot his name or her name. I apologize, but they, ever since they made Never Hike Alone, they've shown that they have love for this series. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if somehow they just took it over. If there was a way they could just take over the
just
Friday,
buy it.
Yeah, just buy it and just be like, look. And obviously it's done well and nobody has fucked with them as far as copywritten and everything else. And I think one of the reasons why that is because when they made this movie and they release it, like you say, it's free on YouTube, it's free on that. They don't make a profit off of this movie, which probably keeps them from getting sued by it.
Well, you can't. They do the Blu-rays. Like you can buy a Blu-ray from them. But,
yeah.
I think I don't know how they're doing it legally, but they're doing it right.
Yeah, it's. I think one of the reasons is obviously they can't release it theatrically. Obviously, no streaming services are going to be releasing. They're not making big money off of the release of it, which is keeping it the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because I mean. The only reason why they got into that little lawsuit to begin with the video games and everything else like that is because there was a big profit being made off of that.
Right.
So
they weren't expecting it to be as popular as it was.
Right. But now that the lawsuit is settled and half of the people got the names to the actual Friday the 13th and the original, and half of them have the rights to Jason, whatever the fuck.
It's a mucky muck mess.
It's a mucky mess, but hopefully, I'm certainly looking forward to the Crystal Lake series.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way. I think we can scale back on Jason a little bit, tell the origin story. And if the people, if the people that own the actual Jason character, the slasher Jason character, want to make their own shit, go for it. It's give me everything. It doesn't have to be connected. It doesn't have to, we just make something good. That's all I want to see.
Speaking of something good, number 18, Mr. Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse is my number 18. This was a pleasant horror comedy surprise. I watched this movie twice, I think.
Yeah.
Twice or three times. Twice. No, I watched it twice. I watched it by myself, then I watched it with Leanna. And wow. It is a horror movie about a killer sloth that comes off its medication and goes crazy and kills a sorority. There's your synopsis.
Yep.
You have to suspend all disbelief when watching this movie because it is majorly over the top and it's fucking hilarious. To me, it's like Mean Girls meets a slasher, but with a sloth. So it is Mean Girls slasher sloth, and it's just crazy goodness. It's over the top, great practical effects. I really appreciate the fact that they used a sloth puppet and not went CGI route, because that could have been the game killer for me. If it was a CGI sloth, I probably would have checked out.
Yeah. I got this a little bit further on, so I'll save my comments for when I get to it.
But I'm not going to really deep dive into it. Save a little bit for you. So what is your number 18, sir?
My number 18 is a movie that I also saw on Shudder, and it was called The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster.
I did not see this movie.
This movie was fantastic. This movie was like a urban Frankenstein type of movie. You have the little girl who is she's growing up in the apartment complex, kind of in the hood and everything, and her brother was involved with gang and drug activities and everything that will go, your typical hood type of shit. And he ends up getting killed. And basically, you know, she's into science and she's into everything. And what she has done is taken his body and moved him to like a little warehouse looking thing, like beside the apartment complex where she has a lock for it and everything. And she's working on, she basically has like that mad scientist thing going on where she wants to, like bring him back. Like she has two motivations. A, it's her brother and she wants her brother back. And B, she kind of has like that mad scientist, you know, can I do it? You know, he's alive type of shit.
Right.
And, she does it and she immediately regrets it because she knows, you know, it's kind of one of those things. It's not one of those things like, oh, she brings him back and then he does something crazy and then she realizes that, oh, I made a mistake. It's one of those things where it's like, I wanted to see if I can do it. Oh shit, it worked. And it's like immediate, like, fuck, like regret, because he does go around this apartment complex and, you know, he half remembers who he is, but he's also like a Frankenstein monster type of deal. So, and you mix in like there's some people in the apartment complex that are not nice people that, you know, make drugs and shit, and they kind of rule the hood, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And, anyway, it's a very good movie. It's a combination of, you know, who is bad might be good and who's good might be bad, depending on the situation in the film.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you might have to have an ally with somebody who's not so much a good person just to make the bad situation, get out of a bad situation, rather. Yeah. And it's a really good movie. It's a really well directed, for a movie. I could have saw this film go to theaters and get a huge following. Honestly, it probably should have. It's that good of a film. It could have worked on its own. Everything's there, you know, everything, the dialogue, the characters, everything is interesting. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you, you don't want to pause it or anything. Like, you want to actually finish this movie. Some movies are kind of long and drawn out or whatever. This isn't one of them. It gets to the point, and it's probably my surprise, like, hit of the year, as far as I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. Right. So give that award to this film. So it's pretty good. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad I didn't get a chance to check it out. But I've got a surprise for you for number 17, and that's Scream. Scream 6.
Yeah, I had Scream on our last podcast, so.
I mean, okay, so I know we scat all over Scream in our review,
mm-hmm.
but it's because I have such a love for Scream, and if you've seen our Instagram, you'll know that I recently just got a Ghostface tattoo, adding to the horror sleeve, so don't tell me I'm not a Scream fan. Mm-hmm. Where's your dedication, people? But I have watched this movie probably 3 times, I think. I think I've watched it 3 times. And there's just something about a Scream film that's charming to me. It's like that movie you can put on anytime. 6 is definitely probably my least. I don't know. I can't say that. I don't know if it's my least favorite.
It's hard to say.
Maybe.
It's really hard to say because the setting of the film is kind of unique, and it's intriguing, and you want to see it. And the kills are pretty ruthless and like aggressive, more slasher-ish than see the Scream films. They are slasher films, but
right.
But the thing that separates the Scream films from most other slasher series is that it's much more of a story to it than just slashing.
Right.
And this film, it was both like slashing and a story to it at the same time. So you wanted to like it, like more than what you actually did.
Right.
But you know, I go back to when we first reviewed it. Yeah, we scat all over it and everything, but it became one of those films where, you know, it's the old saying, you know, I thought you were shit, but there was so much other shit that came out that you kind of moved up by default. That's kind of how I feel about Scream 6.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it moved up my list. The more,
yeah,
it like I said, it just has a charm to it. Scream, the franchise, it's just something about each movie, whether you love or hate them, they just have this feel like, you know, you're watching a Scream movie. And the directors got that right with 5 and 6. They still had the look and the feel of a Scream movie.
Overall, it's great. It's just some decisions in some scenes, I think, held it back. I think not pulling the trigger on killing some characters hurt it.
Yes.
And I think over exaggerating some kills and kind of making it comical killed it.
Yeah, y'all can't see me, but I'm shaking my head. I agree.
The ladder scene is what I'm thinking about, and the subway scene is what I'm thinking about.
Yes.
She's crawling across the ladder with her guts hanging out, and somehow there's some jokes thrown in. I didn't care for that. And the chick, one of the best scenes ever, you know, the lights are going off in the subway, the lights are coming on, the lights are going off, and boom, there's Ghostface. That should have been a cool-ass death scene, and then at the end of the movie, she runs out like nothing happened.
Yeah, with a little Band-Aid. I'm okay.
Yeah, those things are what really held the movie back some. So
yeah, but I still enjoyed it. And we'll be talking about Scream here in a little bit on a horrible conversation, so stay tuned for that. So what is your 17?
My number 17 is Pet Sematary Bloodlines.
That was a goodie.
Yeah. This movie...
I got that one up a little bit higher on my list, but I'll still talk about it. Fuck it.
Yeah, I was really surprised about this movie. Wasn't supposed to be as good as it was, honestly. I mean, this was a straight to streaming movie, considering the fact that it was a sequel to the remake, and this movie was so good. I told you that I don't think it was a sequel to the remake. I thought it was a sequel to the original, because in my opinion, I didn't mind the remake at all. I thought the remake was solid, but I also thought the remake was very, very, very pointless. I didn't see any benefit to it whatsoever. And this movie caught me off guard to the point where I didn't even know it was a prequel to the remake. I thought it was a prequel to the original 89 Pet Sematary. That's how good this movie was. I mean, and... the whole thing about this movie is it's not a whole lot of kills in the film, but this movie is about atmosphere. It's about old school horror atmosphere.
Yes.
And it's about this town that hovers secrets. And some of the younger people kind of know a little bit about it, but they're not told all about it, so they have to find out on their own type of deal. And it takes the whole Timmy story from both the original, and I guess did they even mention it in the remake? The Timmy story about how, you know, Timmy came home from the wall.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch it. I feel like they said something about it, but
well, that's what made me think that it was a direct prequel to the original, because that story is so profound in the movie, and I don't remember a story like that in the remake at all.
Well, I mean, maybe we could do a deep dive on Pet Sematary. I mean, because technically it's at a franchise right now with 4.
But anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. I think the character